un sitio si estamos en cuarentena.
Ay, mi perrito está ladrando, me voy a mutear.
No te preocupes que yo tengo una también que por ahí se va a presentar, pone cara de presentada mientras estoy presentando.
Sí, sí, siempre me hace eso.
Ya no,
Permiso un ratito.
Maisie ladra mucho también. Especialmente si viene el camión de la UPS o la FedEx. El vecindario se entera.
Sí, no, acá Charlie y los vecinos escucha que alguien abre la puerta, cierra la puerta y empieza a ladrar, entonces estoy así como que shh.
Ya, ya mismo viene por ahí. Esperemos. ¿Tienen idea de como cuántos estudiantes signed up o, no sabemos?
Actualmente tenemos 59 chicos. Hola a todos que ya nos están mirando.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everybody.
¿Cómo están? A todos los que están mirando, pueden ir escribiendo en el chat, presentándose en inglés, claro. Y la lista final ya la tiene la gente de la embajada. Hi, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. We are reaching almost 60 people already.
Oh, wow. Excellent. I'm really glad to hear that.
Great. So while everyone is joining and taking your imaginary seats, I would like to get started. First of all, by thanking all of you for being with us, and a special big thank you to Anna Sol Sykes, who is the Director of Admission and Special Programs for South America from the office at college admissions, right, at Brown University. So thank you so much, Anna, for taking the time to join us and to have this webinar with our students. We are all really eager to learn more with you. And I would also like to talk a bit about Education USA. So if anyone who is joining here, you are just getting to know Education USA for the first time through this webinar, I would like to tell all of you that Education USA is an US Department of State network. We have over 430 advising centers in more than 170 countries and territories. And 3 of those centers are located here in Paraguay. One of them is in Asunción. It's in the office of the CCPA, where Vero and Sandra, that you can see also here, work. Then we have another center in the main library of the National University in San Lorenzo, where our co-worker Angie works. And then we have the third and the newest center here in Ciudad del Este in Paraguay, in the National University as well. And a big surprise to anyone that's from the East region of our country, we are opening one new center in Hernandarias. It's going to be located in the city of Hernandarias, and we're gonna have one more advisor there. Yeah, so what do we do with Education USA? What do we do here? Our network promotes US higher education to students around the world. We offer accurate, comprehensive, and current information. That's a very important topic right now, right? That the information is current. About opportunities to study at accredited higher education institutions in the US. So Education USA is your official source on US higher education. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We hope to learn lots. And dear Anna, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Saludos a todos. Welcome, everybody. As I was so beautifully introduced, my name is Anna Saul Sykes, and I serve as Director of Admission for Special Programs at Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island. I have been doing admission for a really long time. I won't tell you how long, but a long time. And it has been my pleasure and my privilege to be responsible for all the applications that are coming in from Mexico, Central and South America. So I hope to be able to visit Asunción sometime when we can travel and visit all of my colleagues at Education USA and all the different places. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. What I am going to do today is that I am going to talk to you about the college essay. When you are applying to US colleges and US universities, most of them, if not all, will be asking you to write an essay. And it will be an opportunity for you to share a little bit more about yourself. And, you know, because it is something that many of you may be doing for the first time, and certainly there are some colleges and universities in Latin America that do not require an essay, I'm going to try to, you know, give you some guidelines as to the purpose of the college essay, things to think about when you're starting to write your essay, and some do's and some don'ts, and overall hopefully give you a little bit of a glimpse as to what schools may be looking for so that you will be better prepared to start writing those essays. So, vale, vamos para adelante, ¿verdad? By the way, this will be in Spanglish. Me perdonan, pero that's how I roll. Okay? No hay problema. So the role of the essay, you know, why is this such a big deal? Why is this so important? I personally think as an admission officer that it's the most important part of a student's application. The college essay will make your application unique, and it will distinguish it from many others because there are going to be some things that you will put across in your writing. And we'll talk a little bit more about that soon. How is it distinguished from many others? Well, for starters, your writing style is one way that your application will show a difference from many others. Your writing style is unique to you. Your writing style is a way of telling admission officers that you have the academic power to succeed at their college. So when we tell you to do all those borradores, because we will, it's because it's very important that the final product is the result of, you know, a solid, well-crafted writing style. The other reason why it's important is because you are unique. You have a unique voice and you have a different perspective from everyone else. No one has had the exact same history or the exact same upbringing as you, okay? And, you know, those are things that will inevitably color the lens with which you view things. So that unique voice will come through wonderfully through your college essay. It's a chance to add that different perspective. And you know what? Colleges and universities will have a lot to provide to you as a student on their campus. But guess what? You're going to be giving something as well back. And your voice and the content of your essay will show universities that you actually have something to contribute to the university, whether it's through an activity or, you know, a personality trait that you have something to contribute, to give back. And the essay is one of those ways in which you show that, okay? There are a lot of, you know, commonly used essay topics that I have seen during my career in admissions, and they tend to fall into certain categories. For example, many students will tackle a super big issue, maybe a little too big. So for example, some students who are interested in politics, which is always relevant nowadays, may write about how they care about world peace, or how they care about world hunger, or how they hope to find a cure for COVID in this instance, right? Well, you know, remember that you're 16, 17, 18 years old if you're applying to an undergraduate institution in the United States. And we don't expect you to have all the answers to world peace, or particularly have that cure for COVID, because after all, You've only lived 17 years. So don't have an expectation that you need to write about this huge topic and address this huge issue, because we do realize that you have a lot of growing and learning ahead of you. And we'll get back to that too in a few minutes. Also, some students will perhaps not write about big issues that might be too big to narrow down in the space allowed. Others will write what I call the litany of accomplishments. They basically will list in their essay all the activities and leadership positions that they have had. So their essay will be, hi, my name is Pedro, and you need to know that I'm president of this organization, and I'm the captain of this team, and the chair of this committee, and. And you know what? While that is commendable, remember that there are other parts of the application that will cover your extracurricular activities. So don't repeat something that is already addressed somewhere else. Use this space to truly communicate something different, something that normally it wouldn't come up in the application. And also it doesn't allow for a lot of time for depth, okay? Others will decide to write the autobiography and give us, you know, a history of when they were born and where they were born and where they grew up and who mom is and who dad is. And, you know, your background and your story may have a certain effect on your upbringing, but if you just limit it to facts and numbers or facts and dates, you're gonna see that a lot of that will be information that is gleaned from the Common Application itself, where we start by asking you what your name is and, you know, where you were born and what your citizenship is. So again, try to think of the essay as an opportunity to give us something more than the basics that we see in other parts of your application. Others may do a narrative about a trip that they had. Sometimes what happens is that they will narrow down their trip experiences to pretty much a documentation of where they were and when, but they don't connect it to that student. They don't connect it to their experiences and how that trip affected them. So the topics in and of itself aren't bad, but you know, it makes it difficult for you to really get into some depth about who you are. And also, these are topics that traditionally have been used by many, many applicants, you know, across not just the university where I work at, which is Brown, but also many applicants who are, you know, submitting applications to other colleges and universities. And here is a little bit more on what I'm talking about. Data versus voice. And what is Ana talking about? Well, let's get into it a little bit. Remember that the application to U.S. colleges and universities consists of various factors, okay? So they're gonna be the data points, like what your grades are, what your marks are, if you have taken standardized testing, what your scores are, you know, and that's in addition to other data such as your date of birth and, for example, where you live. You know, that's general data. But to breathe life into this data, we also need to hear your voice. And that's where the application essay comes in. This is the biggest opportunity you will have to show your voice, the college essay. That's what makes it all come together, all right? It is also the only part of the application where you will have complete control over what you're presenting. So remember that with the Common Application, there might be letters of reference that you need your teachers to fill out, or a recommendation that your guidance counselor or school principal or, you know, or your advisors at Education USA will be filling out on your behalf. But the essay is the one part where you are submitting something on your behalf, where you have control of what gets presented to that Board of Admission. So it's very, very important. This is just a little comic strip to put a little bit of humor in terms of all these things that I'm talking about. So This cartoon is a student talking to his guidance counselor, and he's saying, I want to show my colleges that I'm well-rounded. So I wrote a poem in Spanish about how chess club has made me a better quarterback. All right. You know what? You don't have to undertake all those things to even be considered to a college or university. So there are many facets to you. It doesn't mean that you have to write about all of them. And here are some, you know, other funny cartoon strips that have these crazy essay topics. By the way, for those of you who may be considering applying to the University of Chicago, I love my colleagues from Chicago. I have traveled with them, and I'm always fascinated at kind of the offbeat essay questions that they will ask of their students. And certainly it's a chance to put your creative mind to work. But this cartoon has some crazy topics, and this is just tongue in cheek. This is only, you know, vacilando, como decimos en Puerto Rico. One of them says, who is your favorite grim fairy tale character, and how would being that character help your career? And you're gonna be like, what? No, this is just pretend. Another one says, if you were to walk backwards for 3 years, how would it change your life? And in what ways would you be a better person? Okay. The other one says, if you could be any arachnid or a spider, which would you be, and how would you use your new skills to solve the energy crisis? All right, put in COVID, you know. And the last one, which is my personal favorite, and it's kind of, you know, funny as to how sometimes we get so carried away as to what these colleges are going to be asking about. If you could use steel wool to address a world problem, which problem would you choose, and how would you use the steel wool? All right. So, you know, it's a lot of students fear about what the college essay, you know, will ask of them. Believe me, it's nothing quite like this. So rest easy, you know, don't worry so much. And some students say, well, with all of this, you know, what is the goal? You know, what do I want to accomplish with the essay? Here's the thing. With the goal of the college essay, you want to come across as a real person and as someone who is more than just a pile of grades and scores. There's a lot more to you, okay? So show us, you know, what else there is to you, all right? Your testing and your data, as we mentioned a while ago, will be one part of you, but it's not all of you. You also want to fill in details about your life that are not already addressed in your application. This is my favorite analogy. Think of the other parts of the application as pieces of a puzzle, un rompecabezas, ¿verdad? Think of the essay as the thing that will complete the picture the admission officer is forming of you. So from the different pieces of the puzzle, we get a common application for fulanito, right? And the personal information will give us one piece. And what the guidance counselor says will give us another piece. What your faculty or teachers, you know, and their recommendations will say is another piece. But it's a very important piece to have you say what you have to offer. And having that allows us to put the whole puzzle together and get a really good picture of who you are and what you have to offer to the university. And there's more. When admission officers are reviewing college essays, you know, this is an opportunity for you to not just focus on content that gives us a picture of who you are, it also will show us how well you express yourself in writing. And this is a little bit sneaky, it also is a way to gauge whether you can answer questions. When you are in college and you're gonna be asked a lot of questions in a lot of classes in college, how do you answer those questions? If you answer them well, then kudos to you. And this is one way in which admission officers can see whether you have the ability to answer a question and whether you listen to directions, okay? In addition to that, your Common App essay will showcase what your interests are, what your values are. it'll give us a little bit of insight into your personality. As I mentioned, it breathes life into your application and it shows who the person is behind the paper. And that's very, very important, okay? So, are we ready? Because I'm gonna give you something to do really quickly. Some of you may be starting to think, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to begin. I have no clue, I am completely lost. Oh, how do I start this project? Well, we are going to do a project right now. So I want you to get a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil, or if you know you're at your laptop, obviously, or use your phone. I am going to give you actually 1 minute, okay? Un minutito. In that minute, I want you to write down at least 6 words that you would use to describe yourself. So, a la una, a las dos, y a las tres, go. And the grown-ups can do it too if you want. Sit down, write down 6 words that describe you. Any words. All right. I feel like I should be playing some elevator music right now, but I won't. 6 palabras. ¿Cómo tú te ves a ti mismo? ¿Qué clase de persona eres? ¿Cómo piensas que te han criado tus padres o tu familia? ¿Qué clase de cualidades quieres comunicar? ¿Quién eres tú? ¿Mm? Bueno, stop. Look at your list now. Look at those words. If you feel that you don't even know where to begin, think about those qualities that you have written down on your piece of paper and think of instances, memories in your life, things that you believe or people who you believe helped to bring those qualities, for the good qualities in you, all right? And for the not so good ones, why do you think that? We're not perfect, we're human beings, and we just want to see what kind of human being you are, all right? So hang on to that piece of paper. It might be a good starting point at some time when it's time to work on your college essay. Here are some do's and some don'ts. Very important. Do spend time thinking about the topic before you start, all right? And you know, again, you don't know where to start. Look, you already did start because you already thought about adjectives that describe you or memories that stand out, okay? So you've already started. Think about what kind of things you would like to write about. From personal experience, I have 2 children who went through the college process. And I remember that one of them in particular had 2 topics and she couldn't figure out which one to write about. And you know what? I suggested that she start writing about both of them. And eventually one of those topics was going to speak to her in a way that she would know that that was the right topic to submit. So the same thing may happen to you. You may think of 2 things that you think you would like to write about, but you're not sure which one to pick. Don't pick just yet. Start writing. Start putting your thoughts on paper. They may not even have to make sense, you know, right away, but start playing with those topics. And you will see that as you do this in a leisurely way, you'll see like, oh yeah, well, you know, I remember that. And now that I think about it, this other thing happened and I know that really affected me. So that's a starting point for you, but it requires time. So again, do spend time thinking about the topic before you actually start. Now, Do editing and spell check. All right. And I'm going to get back to that in a minute. Let me go on to the next point. When you are thinking about these adjectives and starting to put these thoughts together, your goal is to communicate something about you, not someone else. Choose a topic that only you can write about. Think again, what makes you unique? Or is there a life experience that will showcase who you are? Once you start writing and once you start getting ready to work on the final borrador, make sure that you obviously do spell check because you want to put your best foot forward and you don't want to submit a piece of writing that has spelling errors. That is just poor. There's no need for that. But don't just stay at the spell check. Edit, proofread, review. That's very, very important. There are a lot of words that you could put in an essay that are beautifully and correctly spelled out, but don't bring the message that you want. For example, you meant to write about how you were doing, I don't know, basketball practice in the gymnasium, and instead of gymnasium, out came magnesium. Adiantre, all right? Or in my instance, and this has happened, you're writing about why you're interested in brown, but unfortunately, you spell brown Y-A-L-E. And I'll tell you something, that doesn't spell brown, okay? So think about these things. And again, it takes time. There are gonna be days in which you are sick of looking at this borrador. You would love to throw the borrador por la ventana, pa' fuera. You need time so that you can afford to take a day or two off, walk away from it, and then come back to it with a fresh set of eyes. Because that's when you will see mistakes come up to the surface. You will see that a particular sentence doesn't make sense, or that there isn't a lot of cohesiveness or connection or a conclusion to your essay, okay? Here are more do's and don'ts. Don't pick a topic that your best friend has picked, okay? Just because your best friend picked this topic or, you know, picked about how much she loves, you know, dogs, and I love dogs too. I have one that might show up any minute now. Pick something that speaks to you. Do not try to shock a college admissions board, and for heaven's sakes, please do not use profanity. That is in very poor taste. You do not need to use profanity to get a point across, all right? And here's one that's important. Don't write an excessively long essay. You will be given guidelines, okay? It's imperative that you follow those guidelines because it will help you write a succinct and comprehensive essay, but also in a sneaky way, it's a way for college admission officers to see whether you know how to follow directions. When you are in college, trust me, you're gonna have to follow very detailed directions in terms of how a professor wants you to present either a topic or how the professor wants the format of that paper that you need to submit. So make sure that you follow the guidelines. Don't be too wordy and don't use a thesaurus, okay? If you're not the type of person who uses fancy words to communicate, then don't use fancy words to communicate. It's not necessary. Remember that we are getting a partial picture from your teachers and their recommendations, from your counselor, from the advisors of Education USA, and we're going to be very confused if you're presenting all these fancy words when everyone else is saying, ay, fulanito es una persona tremenda, usa palabras concisas y sencillas para comunicar su idea. Así que no se pongan estrambóticos, ¿ok? No va a salir bien, all right? Muy importante. This is an example, okay? And some of these you know, you may be able to identify with. So if you want to write about someone who has influenced you, like your grandmother, don't just say like, my grandmother is awesome. First of all, that doesn't sound terribly cerebral. It surely is not unique, and it's not telling me why your grandmother or father or girlfriend is awesome, all right? Get into the details as to how they have affected you in your life. Others decide to write about this big game. Okay, I just had such great experiences from watching this great, you know, game de fútbol. Puerto Rico le decimos balompié, all right? Well, why was it such a great juego de balompié? You know, was it a time to connect with a relative? Did you learn some kind of lesson from there? Is it a memory that you hold dear for a particular reason? Did it inspire your interest in physics as you were watching the velocity of, you know, a baseball go through a field? You know, why is the big game the topic, and how is the big game connected to you? And certainly I would encourage you not to choose a school and make your Common App essay about that particular school. Ejemplo, my topic is why I love Brown so much. Well, I mean, I think that's wonderful, but keep in mind that your common application essay is going to go to all the colleges and universities that you are applying to. So if your essay is on why you love Brown so much, but you're also sending an application to the University of Chicago or, you know, the University of Wisconsin, they're going to be looking at this and going, pero no entiendo, you know, why are you applying to us if you love Brown so much? Okay, capisci? Make it connect something that is connected to you. So some of you may be wondering, well, you know, help me here. What are examples of perhaps better essay topics that I could use that would be an example of a reflection of who I am? I put forth a hobby or something that you like to do to help you relax. Maybe it's listening to music. Maybe it's, you know, setting up a playlist. And actually I had one of my students write about that this past year. So for example, if you write about your daily crossword puzzle routine, you know what you can do with that? You can tell us a little bit of something as to how you may like brain games, or how words are important in your life, and how those things help you relax, how you rely on this particular ritual to get you ready to face, you know, the hours of homework that you may have ahead. We learn a little bit more about you in a vignette, which is, you know, your daily crossword puzzle routine. Maybe you have been working part-time, or you have done some volunteer work. You know, what kind of things have you learned from that experience? Okay, maybe you learned the real meaning of responsibility from working. Maybe you learned something about the joy or the satisfaction from volunteering and giving to others. Or maybe someone helped you when they volunteered their time and their willingness to tutor you. All right, it can go both ways. You know, you may want to just talk about your family, and that's great. You're welcome to talk about your family, but maybe there's a particular thing, you know, that is close to your heart. And you can write about, for example, how you taught your sibling, your little sister, about multiplication. And you can use that to talk about a love of mathematics. You can talk about that as indicating a love for education. You can talk about how you are so close to your little sister through this topic. Or maybe you can talk about how you were instrumental in instilling in her a love for mathematics. And, you know, we would love to see more women in the area of STEM fields. So it can start from a topic as simple as that. Maybe you love to cook, or you love to travel. You know, one thing, rather than tell me that you went to Italy and saw, you know, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, maybe you can talk about it in terms of the food and the cuisines that you tried when you were on that trip, or how, you know, you love to try new things in the kitchen because you have a sense of adventure, or you are culturally curious about other places in the globe. And one way for you to do it is through trying new cuisines. Do you see what I'm saying? You can take a very simple topic and you can weave it into all kinds of facets of your likes and your dislikes and your hopes and your beliefs. Maybe, you know, instead of writing about the big game, maybe there was a particular game where you learned some maybe difficult lessons when the team didn't make the finals or the regionals or lost the championship game. What kind of lessons did you learn from that? So those are some examples. I'm not telling you that you need to write about these particular topics, but hopefully this will give you an example on how you take a seemingly simple time of the day or a simple hobby that you like to do, or, you know, a memory that you have of, you know, in this instance, working with your little sister on math problems, and you can turn it into a reflection of who you are. It's very important that you take a topic and make it personal. So again, I'm hammering you with the same idea. You know, if you want to write about your service trip to Mozambique, that's going to be too generic. I went to Mozambique. It was pretty. I did service work there. You know, you can do better than that. So maybe you take an example of something that really struck you or something that you really learned from that service trip. So maybe rather than just write a narrative about a service trip, maybe what you can do is that you can talk about your language mistakes during your trip to Mozambique and how you realized how important or maybe how challenging it is to learn a foreign language. You can also take it and talk about that love and passion for cultures and how you experienced it through their cuisine and how you see how it reflects the culture of its people. All right. So those are ways in which you can kind of create this web that's based on just different nooks and crannies behind your likes and your dislikes and your hopes. Now, I figured that it would be helpful to you guys to have an idea, if you haven't had a chance already, to see what the Common App essay prompts are going to be. They're basically the same as last year. What I'll do is I'll read them out loud to you so that you can kind of process this a little bit. The first one is, some students have a background, identity, interest, or talent that is so meaningful they believe that their application would be incomplete without it. If this sounds like you, then please share your story, okay? There's a part of you that hasn't been covered in the essay. This is the perfect opportunity with prompt 1. The lessons we take from obstacles we encounter can be fundamental to later success. Recount a time when you faced a challenge, a setback, or failure. How did it affect you? And what did you learn from the experience? So maybe that topic that originally we had talked about, the big game, maybe, you know, you're talking about the lessons that you learned from teamwork and supporting each other through difficult times when you lost that championship game. All right, and how resilient you were through that very challenging game that you eventually lost. Another one, prompt 3. Reflect on a time when you questioned or challenged a belief or idea. What prompted your thinking and what was the outcome? Maybe someone says something that is such an antithesis to what you believe in or have experienced that you feel that you need to challenge that thought. How did you do it? What made you challenge that idea? And how did it all end up? 4, describe a problem you've solved or a problem you'd like to solve. It can be an intellectual challenge, a research query, an ethical dilemma, anything that is of personal importance, no matter the scale. Explain its significance to you and what steps you took or could be taken to identify a solution, okay? You know, the first thing that comes to me personally is COVID and the array of problems and challenges it has presented to the entire world. And maybe the challenges that you have experienced have been very relevant and very personal to you. This might be an opportunity to write about that. Also, number 5, discuss an accomplishment, event, or realization that sparked a period of personal growth and new understanding of yourself or others. Okay? Maybe something you achieved this goal and wow, what kind of lessons did you learn about yourself as you were achieving this goal? You know, how did you grow personally? You know, have you been through a situation where you have seen a personal growth, or maybe a set of circumstances that was a catalyst for growth in other members of your family, like maybe your little brother or little sister? And these are just examples, okay? Also, number 6, describe a topic, idea, or concept you find so engaging that it makes you lose all track of time. Why does it captivate you? What or who do you turn to when you want to learn more? Maybe there's something that you absolutely love to do. It can be a hobby. Maybe you grew up, you were born with a paintbrush in your hand, and all your life you have just loved to draw and paint, and it's your way to kind of relax, or it's your way to express yourself creatively. You know, maybe you want to talk about that activity, you know, that idea that you are just fascinated with. And then lastly, this is kind of the carte blanche, okay? Share an essay on any topic of your choice. It can be one you've already written, one that responds to a different prompt, or one of your own design. So if you're still nervous about, you know, prompts 1 through 6, 7 is great news, because you can mold and shape your essay to a topic that you may find is most relevant to you. So I hope I've given you some food for thought. This is not a process that you need to go through alone. Obviously, you have to be the author of your own work, but it doesn't mean that you can't seek help, feedback, support, get people to read your drafts, gives you suggestions. If you have questions, ask your teachers, ask your counselor. Use your advisors at Education USA. That's what they're there for. They want to help you through this process. They're extremely knowledgeable about the process. And you should absolutely take advantage of that, because they want to help you, all right? They can and they do want to help you. And lastly, as you go through the process, and if you have any specific questions, you know, that were not addressed today, you're always welcome to reach out to me at my work email. And it's basically my name. So it's Ana, and then there's an underscore. You can't see it, but it's Ana_Saul-Sykes@brown.edu. I hope this has been a helpful session to all of you. I hope this has been something where you have been able to glean all kinds of wonderful information and tips and ideas for submitting that essay and starting that work. And I wish you all the best as you begin this process. Enhorabuena, muchas gracias por su tiempo y atención. Aquí estoy siempre, siempre a la orden. Y yo sé que ustedes van a hacer un magnífico trabajo con el tema de su ensayo, al igual cuando usen todos los recursos que les ofrecen en Education USA. Muchas gracias a todos.
Thank you so much, Ana. I think we have just a couple of questions. So I'm going to go check Q&A. Let's see who has written any question. It says, hello, I'm Lucas from Paraguay. I was wondering whether it would be okay to write about something different from the Common App prompts, like something very unique, random about myself.
Bueno, Lucas, as you can see in prompt 7 that we just talked about, they give you the open-ended opportunity to write about something that doesn't quite cover the prompts that they have given you in 1 through 6. So you're welcome to write about something that is different from the Common App.
Yeah, that's very true. Like, and I've seen very original essays on that open question or open answer questions. Anna, we really, really appreciate your time. I just want to give the kids like 2 more minutes to see if they have any questions. But I believe your presentation was so comprehensive and so candid. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Oh my goodness, look at all these. I love students who use please and thank you. So, for the thank you. Muy bien. All right. It was my pleasure. I cannot wait to, hopefully, not only meet the staff, but hopefully meet some of you. All right.
All right.
Thank you so much, Anna. There are no more questions, right, Sandri?
I don't see any more questions. I think, and if they have any questions, they can email us. They already have our email address.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like Naomi has some very amazing news as well.
Yes, so I would like to share with you that we are going to send the recording for this video to everyone who has already subscribed. So to the same email that you put on the registration form for this webinar, we're gonna be sending all of you the recordings there. So if there was any part that you would like to listen again, or you would like to rewatch, then you can make some popcorn and do that. And
I have time with COVID. La pandemia se puede. El tiempo.
And Anna, we would like to thank you so much. You're such a delightful to listen to. We love your accent. And thank you so much again for taking time off your agenda and join us and have this webinar with us. We are very grateful for it.
Aquí siempre a la orden. It has always been my pleasure, and my goodness, next time we can travel, I have to get to Paraguay. I have to go. Ay, estoy loca por ir y no he tenido un break de Spanglish right there, okay? Ahí está. Pero si cualquier cosa, or if the kids are asking you something else that wasn't covered or whatever, and you're not sure how to answer it, just send me an email and we can definitely cover it. And just Sandrita, don't forget, if I don't reach out to you about the wait list in the next 10 days or something, just send me an email. Pero es que con este revolú de la pandemia y quién puede viajar y no viajar, tengo a todos mis chicos internacionales just hanging there. Así es que don't be shy, you're not nagging me, it's my pleasure. So please don't worry, okay?
Thank you so much, Anna. We truly appreciate like you taking the time, planning the session, and like all the help you provide to our students.
My pleasure. Cuídense, se mantienen con mascarilla y se portan bien y todo esto. And I guess my dog slept through the presentation, but maybe next time she'll make an appearance. Okay.
Prometido.
Okay, ciao, ciao.
Muchas
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Muchas gracias a todos. Chao, chao.